in a hypothetical playoff scenario here,
Yeah.
of all these teams that were mentioned, and this is where I think this makes it interesting, who would win? Let me get this pulled up here real quick. Yeah, so I went ahead and we kind of broke them down right there for you. Let's kind of increase that so everybody can see. There we go. All right, so right here, and the way it's seeded, obviously, is just the way the list broke it down. Teams numbered 7 through 10 are obviously, they're playing in the first round. Everybody else gets somewhat of a bye in that first round.
God, I hate the seeding on this, but yes.
Yeah. All righty, Chris. Who you got right here, Bo?
Which one are you looking at? Sorry. Is it Bama and Texas?
Yeah. We'll start Bama and Texas, and we'll move down to Clemson and OU.
05 Texas, without a doubt. I can say this. Maybe I'm recency bias, I guess. I don't know. But would you agree?
100%.
Okay.
Yeah.
We'll move through that pretty quickly. I think, damn, that 05 Texas team, man. Woo. Woo.
All right. Number 7 here, we've got Clemson and Oklahoma. Who do you got, Chris?
I got to put Clemson there. I think that team is so underrated. So underrated. That's all I mean, they're so underrated. As far as like in the national perspective of what college landscape is as far as fans go, like everybody forgets a lot about them. What they did to Alabama just destroyed them, and then what happened was everybody forgot about them in 2019 after they lost some people. But what Joe Burrow did, I'm going to talk about them here shortly. So go ahead, Christian. Sorry.
Yeah, I don't even think it's a question there between those two teams. I mean, listen, two different eras of football, and I'll break this down. This was an era when the wing T triple option was kind of the big fucking swinging dick in college football. I think, and that's all fine and good, but you see it even now in today's game. I mean, teams that like to try to run that offense and try to control the clock, which they would get behind against Clemson, they would have to throw the ball. And I just don't see it, man. I think the athletes that we're talking about here, two completely different things. It's like me versus you. I would blow you out of the water from an athletic standpoint on the field.
Fuck. We'll find out in our combine coming up here between you and I. But the only reason why I don't want to discredit, I know you are a little different. I don't like to discredit the old teams because it's like in their era, if you were a person watching, football back then, they were the most dominant thing you've seen. So like, I want to give them some respect and some, credence to like what they did. But yeah, if the game is like played the way it is today, and which obviously that's currently what we're talking about. Yeah, Clemson without a doubt. The only reason why I kind of went on with Clemson, I just feel like they get that 2018 team gets just forgotten about kind of, I guess, in my opinion, from what I hear when I talk to other people and stuff about college football, is like everybody forgets about them because of the 2019 fucking LSU team, which is probably kind of unfair to that Clemson team. But let's move on here. And yes, I'm with you 100%, brother.
All righty. Let's take a look here at, okay, so we'll keep it parked right here. Clemson, 71, Nebraska. 18, Clemson, 71, Nebraska. Who you got? Now, this is where the shit gets interesting.
Oh, my God. Oh, my God. Why don't you give me yours first, and I'm gonna that one hurts just because it's 71 Nebraska for me. But go ahead,
man.
Give me why you think the team that you're taking. No, for real, brother. Come on.
No, I know. We're getting into a game of you show me mine, I'll show you yours kind of thing here.
I know who I'm taking.
You know what? Fuck it. I'll go 71 Nebraska.
And I'm going to go 2018 Clemson.
Damn, son. Damn.
This one hurts. This hurts. No, how do we determine a tiebreaker here?
I guess we'll have to go to the chat. I mean, we've got 3 people watching, so, it's kind of, in the next 5 seconds, tell us who you think wins this game in the chat here.
Come on, chat. Bring it to me real here. I do love this. I'm going to talk here for a minute. I just think 18 Clemson, like if it's played in today's era, like pretty tough to defend that fucking offense. I just, God, man, that's tough for me. I just want Chat. It looks like Chat's going to take Nebraska, and I'm 100% fine with that. And you took them too, so that one's just a tough game, and because I feel like Clemson is so underrated.
Yeah, 100%, dude. I mean, it's my heart says Nebraska, my head says Clemson, but you know, I gotta stick with it, man.
Well, I love it. I appreciate the loyalty there, Christian.
You change hats, and then all of a sudden, you know, the thoughts start changing, bro. Jeez, burn that fucking Iowa hat. Yeah, anyways, got rid of that a long time ago, okay, so all right, let's move up the list here. 19 LSU, 72 USC.
19 LSU all day on a daily.
100%. Come on, it's not even a question, right?
Even though that 04 USC team is stacked, don't even get 95 Huskers all day.
Yeah, 100%. I agree with you on that. 95 Huskers. I think it would be an interesting game. I think it really would be an interesting game.
It would be.
These two eras of football, they align a lot more just because, you know, it's within 10 years. Nebraska is going to run that kind of, was it the wishbone, wing T, triple option, kind of run the ball down your throat. USC was kind of like, you know, the eye back system, give it to Reggie Bush, Lindell White, kind of have Matt Leinart kind of go up top, throw it around a little bit. I mean, I'm just saying, I think that 95 Nebraska, they would run the clock down, and I think they would smother them on defense.
Here's the thing. This is, you know what, you just said it there at the very end. This is who wins this game. 95 Huskers defense is like maybe arguably the top 3 best defense ever assembled. That's why they would win that game. And that's why I give them the go ahead right off
right behind 2021 Georgia. I agree with you.
We don't see no Georgia team on this. That's kind of hurt. Come on, man.
Back to back.
Yeah. Suck on my balls.
Oh, God, dude, I hate this. 0-1 Miami and 0-5 Texas.
0-1 Miami, and I know that breaks your heart because you are a big-time, low-key dick riding Texas fan when you were a kid.
I was, and I can't even argue that. That's a great way to put it there.
2 great teams go there. That would be a really crazy good game to watch, though.
But I just think, and you said it best too, they would absolutely blow them out of the water, dude. Wouldn't even be close. I
just as far as sheer talent on the defensive end for Miami, as much as I love myself some Vince Young, but overall, yeah, I think most would agree.
Children of the Corn said it best. He said 0-5 Texas. I mean, God. All right, let's roll it back down here. We got 0-1 Miami, 95 Nebraska.
Okay, this is where I'm going to dig a little deep here, and I get a little bit butthurt about this. 0-1 Miami, 95 Nebraska to me are the 2 best college football teams ever. If I would had to set up a bracket, and that would be my 1 and 2 seed right there. This fucking sucks because the 0-1 Miami team, what they did to the Huskers in that 0-1 national title game was ridiculous. And Nebraska, I'll be honest with you, if anybody remembers this, Nebraska lost to Colorado in the Big 12 title game before that, got their ass beat badly. Nebraska did not deserve to be in that national title, in my opinion, and that says a lot. The only thing I hate to talk about this right now because it's like a quarterfinal game or a semifinal game. 95 Nebraska to me, the way they dominated for 2 straight years, 24-0 coming into the game before the national title game. Tom Osborne was the coaching, the issues we had on the 95 team with Lawrence Phillips being thrown in jail, that whole thing. Amon Green was a backup as a fucking freshman. Everybody knows who Amon Green is. That's how good Lawrence Phillips was, mind you. That offense and that defense of those Husker teams. And I believe Nebraska beat 4 teams that finished in the AP top 10 that year. Finished. That right there is like, to me, is just like, holy shit, and I remember who the teams were. I think it was Florida, Colorado, K-State, and Kansas. But then I know what you're going to do because you're going to make a case here, right, Christian, for the 01 Miami team, right? Everybody always throws out all the Pro Bowlers, all the guys that were taken in that draft, right? I believe it was, 17 players off that team were drafted in the first round at the NFL draft. I mean, just think about that for a second. There's only 32. That was just, multiple years there, but that's just the talent that fucking team had. We named some of those guys that had played. I believe, if I'm not mistaken, 38 players off that team in 01 were drafted overall. That's insane. But I'm not talking NFL and I'm not talking draft. I'm talking about on that date if they had to play each other. Mark down 95 fucking Nebraska. Put it down there.
Chat.
Put it fucking down there.
We don't even have to do that because I agree with you. I can't even disagree. Listen, I think, the more I started thinking about this and the more you guys reminded me about it, 95 Nebraska defense would control them. We already said, I don't think Ken Dorsey, great. He's granted the best offensive coordinator on this whole list that played, right?
Best offensive line they've ever, but yes.
But that 95 Nebraska team, I think they'd shut them down. They would shut them down. They would figure out a way to do that. It'd be a close game. I think that they could, like I said, man, I like Nebraska. You make some good points, and so does everybody in the chat. I'll give it to you, 95 Nebraska right there in the finals. Now,
that was tough for me, by the way. That was tough for me.
Man, it was tough for me. And I'll be honest, you had me in the first half there. I wanted to lean with 01 Miami, but I couldn't. I could not do it.
Yeah, no, and just before you, not to interrupt you again, but like that to me, by the way, if anybody just caught this later, like I honestly truly think that 01 Miami is 1-2, 1A, and Nebraska's 1B, flip flop them. That's who I would have had in my brackets. Like they would have been 1 and 2 on the top of this bracket, so they would have had to play each other in the championship, if you will. Go ahead though, Christian. Sorry.
I got 19 LSU here. This is for determining who plays in the finals here. Kyler says Nebraska 95 versus Nebraska 71 finals. That's too much Cornhuskers for my take there, young man.
Love it.
I
love it. Fucking love it. Keep piling it in there, Kyler, whoever the hell you are from Nebraska. Keep piling it in.
Listen, he sounds like a great young man who just needs to kind of get, in playoff situations, especially with a championship game on the line. Seems like this young man, he could learn a thing or two, okay? I'm just saying. Especially when it comes to
this, though. If anybody's watching, I think it was like 10 or 12 years ago, maybe somewhere around there, because I'm old, as you say, Christian, right? ESPN, I'll never forget it, did a SportsCenter special before one of the national title games. They did a special for like a Saturday or something, and they had a bracket similarly laid out to where you have obviously not all the new teams in there. And it was America's fucking bracket, college football. And guess who was in the finals? And Kirk Herbstreit lost his fucking shit on air. He goes, because it was 71 Nebraska versus 95 was the finals because they were on opposite sides. And I believe they had I think it was like a 32 team deal. So 16-16. And he lost his shit. I remember him like pouting during the fucking, the on-air deal where he was like, oh, well, apparently everybody in Nebraska tonight is obviously voting. That's the only people that are watching. He got all butthurt about it because, Ohio State guy, of course. But it's funny that Kyler brings that up. I'll never forget that. My dad was obviously, watched both those two teams play. And he was saying that the whole night. 71 Nebraska versus 95 Nebraska. Easy, But kind of funny how it happened. But anyway, go ahead, Christian. I had to throw that in there with Kyler's comment. So.
No, you're all good. And it's nothing but love over here. Like I said, we don't take it that seriously. He probably does think you are old as shit, though. I know I do.
Yeah.
Let's see here.
Still got a bigger dick than me, though. Here we are.
I'm not even going to go there. Anyways, let's take a look at this. I don't know, Chris. I'm going to let you lead off here. 19 LSU versus 71 Nebraska. This one's tough for me, man.
19 LSU. And I hate to say this. I hate it. If this game, so when is this game played? Right? Is it in today's era?
Yeah, I thought that's what we were doing for the whole thing here. Yeah,
19 LSU, and I hate to say that because I'm going to piss off a bunch of older Nebraska folk there, but 19 LSU, and I will talk about them here shortly.
Well, technically, the game would be played, if you will. Like if you could put a vacuum seal,
right,
a vacuum seal on this, okay. And we could say, okay, 19 LSU, 71 Nebraska. They have both their eras, playing in here. LSU running that spread offense, Nebraska coming in running the triple option down your throat, Bob Devaney style, and we could reincarnate it. You still have 19 LSU winning.
I do, because of that prolific fucking offense that year. All I got to do is say Joe Burrow, Justin Jefferson, Jamar Chase, Clyde Edwards-Helaire, Thaddeus Moss, Terrence Marshall Jr. That offense, I mean, what did Burrow throw for like fucking 70 touchdowns and like some 5,000 yards? I mean, they destroyed everybody they played that year. They beat the shit out of Alabama. They beat the shit out of, I got a stat pulled up here, Christian. Faced 7 teams inside the top 10 that year at the meeting and won all of them. I mean, they just destroyed everybody, dude. Like that team is the only reason why 2018 Clemson isn't talked about as much. And now I'm a Nebraska fan. I'm a diehard. And the 71 Huskers, as much as I love them, if the game was played today, this is how we're doing this bracket, I just don't think they would be able to shut down that offense. Nobody can. That offense is probably the best offense to ever set foot in a college football game. I will argue that. Their offense, I'm not saying their defense was that great. And it was damn good. They had Patrick Queen. They had fucking Chasen Phillips, Derek Stingley Jr. They had some players on that fucking defense. But, man, that offense, though, that offense to me is number one of all time. It has been since I watched them play. What they did that year was just, and don't even get me started on Joe Burrow. He should have been at Nebraska because his brothers and his dad played here, and I could get into all that. It makes me cry. But, yeah, I got to take 19 LSU. Who you got, Christian?
Yeah, I'll go 19 LSU too. I mean, it's so difficult. I mean, they were such a prolific team. I mean, they spanked another team on this list that kind of came right back around and kind of, the 18 Clemson, 19 Clemson, I think was still really, really good. I mean, but they just ran into what was a buzzsaw. I mean, they really did. And I don't think it really matters what era you put them in. I just think even if, I mean, don't get me wrong, their defense was a little suspect at times, especially in that.
Yeah.
But I take this as this, right? I think that 19 LSU team, it doesn't matter whatever kind of boat race game you want to put them in, even if it's a high scoring affair, that they would outdo whoever.
They remind me, if anybody remembers, the Rams when Kurt Warner won his title with Marshall Faulk, Isaac Bruce, Torrey Holt. That they had their defense was average that year. They just outscored you. It happens once every 20 years, but you just got to, everybody says you got to play defense to win championships. I 100% agree with that. But every once in a while, they're just a team that's just going to score more points. The Chiefs are kind of the modern day era of that at times. You know what I mean? Yeah, they're just going to score more points than you do. You know what I mean? Yeah. And that's how you win a fucking game, and that's how you win a national title sometimes. I'm not saying that's right. We can get into further debate about that later, but that's how I feel about that 2019 team of LSU. I think their offense was the greatest ever assembled. If somebody can debate me, please drop it in the chat, please. But like you said, I think they were one of those one team that comes around once every 2 or 3 decades that just wouldn't matter. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
And I think that brings us into where we're at right now, right?
Yeah. Let me ask you this. I mean, what are your thoughts on this going into it? I mean, you got 19 LSU, 95 Nebraska. Everyone in the chat here, let us know your thoughts, who you think would win this game while we're kind of letting that load up. Chris, I mean, kind of give me the backdrop of this. First and foremost, where do you think this game hypothetically would be played?
Okay, I'm going to leave it up to you to ultimately make the choice. If the game was played in the 90s when the Huskers were dominant, right? The Huskers win this game. The game has changed a lot as far as instant replay, the way it's reffed. Offenses now are more about putting up points, just kind of like the NFL. And I don't want to get into that right now because this is where we're at. If the game is played in 2019 when LSU wins that game. If it's played in 95, Nebraska kicks the shit out of LSU because of the corners and the defense that we had. The 95 Nebraska defense is probably the best defense I've ever seen. You're going against the best offense, arguably ever. But in my heart, if this game was played even in the middle of that, so it would have been played in 2000, whatever, 5, 9, whatever, I'm going to take my Huskers here because I have to. But this one's tough, man. This one is because I just said the previous segment, 2019 LSU, dude, their offense is just so crazy good. But in reverse, we had the Brown brothers, the twins, both played in the NFL for a fuck ton of years. This would have been an epic matchup. I wish this could be played just in a fucking vacuum and just watch the game played just as a true college football fan. But I'm going to take the 95 Huskers here. I'm going to leave it ultimately up to you to decide who wins this, though, and your thoughts, because you're not a Nebraska fan like diehard like I am and from here. You grew up in the SEC. I want to hear your take on this one, Christian. So I'll leave it up to you, brother.
I think you said it exactly right. I think, going around at this point of college football, depends on what really decade you put it into, could really change the outcome significantly. Here's the reality of the situation. Those teams in the 90s, very, very, very physical. I'm going to take 95 Nebraska. I'm going to take them because I love. We got a chance to kind of see this, by the way, in kind of a lesser role than it. If you kind of slow it down and think about it, think about Georgia versus Bama, a couple years back in the national championship game when they won. I mean, not arguably, fuck that. Georgia had the better defense there for sure.
Yeah. Oh, yeah.
Bama had the better offense, not even questionable. They had Bryce Young back there. I mean, they were both lighting it up. Georgia still won that game. They were able, in a one-game scenario, everything on the table. We're not going to talk about the SEC championship game that preluded that. They were able to shut Bama down and stay in that game and do just enough and pull away at the end. I would like to think, with rose-colored glasses on or whatever you want to say, 95 Nebraska does the same thing, very similar to that, right? I think they do just enough, and they're able to put up enough points to hold out 19 LSU and end up winning that game, right?
Yeah, no, and that's probably the deciding factor. Like I just, gave you guys a whole fucking rundown there earlier because I've been pretty hyped about the 95 Nebraska team. But, their defense was, in my opinion, probably the greatest of all time ever. And I think they would find a way, and they could match up just a little bit against Jamar Chase and Justin Jefferson, which are two of the top 5 NFL receivers right now, and they're in their 3rd and 4th year. But I just truly think they would have came out with that. And like you said about the Georgia-Alabama matchup, like you just mentioned, I think that's what the Huskers would just do just enough to pull it out. Because I don't think LSU's defense would have any fucking idea how to stop the fucking 95 option offense. That's where I'm at. And I'll leave it at that.
And that's a great point, too. I mean, here's the reality of that. They probably wouldn't. And the other great thing about that is, that style of offense they played, they were able to slow things down a lot, right? So they would go into that game against 19 LSU, and they would slow it down enough.
Hands.
Exactly. That's the best way sometimes is when you take it. We see that so often now. I think, what was it I saw against was it Kansas State this year against TCU, similar situation. They kind of slowed the game. Yep. Yeah. In that Big 12 championship game, and it worked like a charm. They had what's that kid's name out there
for K-State?
Yeah, was it Deuce Staley? Is that who it was?
No, it's his. No. Deuce Staley played there. It's they compare him to him. God, what the hell is that little short dude's name? He's literally looked just like him. But
no, it's Darren Sproles, I think.
Darren Sproles, and there's Deuce
Vaughn.
There you go.
His name's Deuce Vaughn. Yep. That's what it was.
Yep.
Yeah, but anyways, I think that's kind of the new version of that. I mean, it's not quite, but yeah, like I said, I think Nebraska wins all day, every day. So, yeah. Any more to add to this, Chris?
I don't, just to touch real quickly on your topic there, that's kind of what the NFL does with Patrick Mahomes and the Chiefs, right? Everybody wants to just have the ball control, right? You know, to be able to beat him. Bill Belichick did it in the past a couple times, you know what I'm saying? With the Patriots, how they beat him in the AFC title game, you know, is just keep the ball out of his fucking hands because they're going to score, right? You hear it a lot in the NFL, like keep the ball out of this guy's hands. If we can kind of control the clock, you know, down in distance and position, that comes down to special teams. But that's how I think Nebraska would have won this game, is probably Tom Osborne's a smart fucking dude. Nothing against Ed O, but Tom had done it for a lot longer. I think he would have been like, here, ball control. We're going to pound the ball with the option. LSU's defense was definitely not one of the greatest of all time at all. I mean, they had some studs on that team, but that's where Nebraska would have probably, in my opinion, would have took that next step and been like, here, I'm going to have to take you guys. But I'll leave it on that though, man. But by the way, hell of a job putting that bracket together, Christian. I thought it was a very interesting discussion and topic to talk about, man. I love talking top 10 anything, is, you know, hearing people's thoughts and views on that.